children are being programmed into occult practices by the cartoons and games and stories that they see on television. It seems harmless and fun and exciting.
Games like Dungeons and Dragons incorporate actual occult practices into the body of the game, where you are actually asked to take on an occult persona that has powers.
Believe it or not, you can learn spells right out of Dungeons and Dragons. Kids will learn them from the Ouija board. I have interviewed kids who have played the Ouija board, and the Ouija board literally told them how to draw a 5-pointed star and how to do a particular spell.
People don't want to believe the unbelievable.
Vicki Caldwell has been investigating cult crimes for the sheriff's office in Putnam County, Florida, and during the past few months has noticed an increase in activity among satanic groups.
I got arrested about 4 years ago because a friend of mine up in Ohio, her son got involved and he tried to kill himself and kill his parents. And so I've been studying it since I came with the department. It's been about 1.5 years. I have noticed an increase around here with the teenagers.
What kind of things do you see?
Mostly your self-styled Satanists, your dabblers, drugs, heavy metal music, role-playing games.
In August of 1986, we had a double murder in which 2 teenage Parkers were found shot quite a number of times in a rural parking lot of a development which was going up. At the time of that investigation, we became acquainted with a term called Dungeons and Dragons, and as part of that investigation we got involved in some of the occult investigations also.
The gateway activities to Satanism constitute what is known as the fringe level of involvement. The Ouija board is a seemingly harmless object, yet it can cause big problems. Dungeons and Dragons is a fantasy role-playing game that teaches demonology and other occultic themes. Palmistry and tarot cards as methods of foretelling the future have gotten many involved in the occult. Explicit horror films and heavy or black metal rock music are both popular entrances to Satanism. Occultic books, horoscopes, studying ESP or UFOs have led some to a deeper, more deadly fascination with the power of darkness.
Well, at that time, I started playing Dungeons and Dragons. When I was 13, I'd never heard of the game before, you know, and I had a cousin who moved in with us, and he played where he used to live, and we went out and got the game and stuff, and I loved it. It was awesome. You know, I mean, it was a game that you played in your mind, you know, anything could be done. And I was a comic book fanatic anyway. I loved comic books. And so my imagination has always been just pretty wild. And I started playing Dungeons and Dragons, and I had a character that
Let's pull over and park here for just a minute on Dungeons and Dragons. Is that not one of the most dangerous things that a kid can be playing with today?
Okay, people hear the term game, and they get real confused, especially if they've never seen the game.
I mean, obviously this is sold in
hobby stores.
Comic stores, it's sold in bookstores, reputable bookstores, you name them, it's in there.
Well, Gary Gygax and Brian Bloom, who created the game, they have grossed, you know, $100 million off the game. I mean, it's big. But you see, it's not a game. It's not a board game, you know, it's a role-playing game. Now, role-playing is so psychologically effective that it is used by psychologists.
You take on the identity of a character.
Right. See, psychologists use role-playing as therapy because it's so powerful.
Dungeons and Dragons has been called the most effective introduction to the occult in the history of man. It is a fantasy role-playing game that teaches demonology, witchcraft, voodoo, murder, rape, blasphemy, suicide, assassination, insanity, sex, perversion, homosexuality, prostitution, Satan worship, gambling, barbarism, cannibalism, sadism, desecration, demon summoning, necromantics, divination, and many other occultic themes, all in living color. Is this dangerous? You decide.